Alright, let's get the door wrapped up and mirrored over to the other side. I'm going to start off by hiding away all of the other pieces of the car, just kind of leave the door floating here. And we'll start everything off by selecting all of the pieces of the door. I'm going to press the up arrow key. That's going to grab all of the smooth proxy groups if the objects have them, like the speaker doesn't have one, but it'll get everybody else. And we'll hit Control G and group all these together. I'm going to name this group Door Master. And what this group will basically be is a way for us to move and rotate the door, all the while grabbing the low and high-res versions at the same time. Let's bring the car back in, and I'm going to move the pivot point of this group. Just press Insert, hold down the V key, and I'll point snap this here, and then slide it forward just a little bit, somewhere right here, pretty much right here in front of the door. Now you may need to experiment a little bit with this on your own. Basically, you just want a nice spot where the door is going to rotate up, something kind of like so. Now, we'd like to connect the door back into the car in such a way where it looks like there's a joint that goes into this hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this face you can see here. Now, you probably have a face similarly placed. If not, you may need to grab a couple of faces to compensate. I'm going to extrude this, and we'll scale this extrusion in a little bit, and then I'll kind of tweak out some of the vertices just a little bit to straighten out the square. And I'll grab the face again. We'll extrude, and then I'll do a lot of my extruding here using numbers. So I'm going to take the rotate X, and we'll crank that actually down. So really low, like somewhere in the negative 90 to 100 area. Then I'll take my pivot Z, and we'll increase that. You'll notice that pulls the face down in through here. And what I'm actually doing, if I increase my divisions, is I'm creating sort of a rounded area that goes into this hole. Let's give it some more divisions, something like maybe 6. And I'll take just a second and just tweak a little bit. That's not bad, actually. Let me see how that holds up. So there it is in high res. Let's go ahead and select all the way back to our door master. And we'll rotate that back down to 0. And we don't seem to be sticking up through the wheel well here on the inside, which is something you may want to check for. And let's see, if I rotate the door up, it goes pretty well. I'm not thinking the door really needs to rotate any further than about 55 degrees. But we will need to tweak just a little bit to make sure that the piece goes all the way in when we're rotated up that far. So let's go back to our low-res geometry. We'll grab that last extrusion, and we can continue this on around a little bit further. Grab door master again, rotate down to 0, and I think that's going to work out just fine. Now, if you like, you can make a few tweaks to this to thicken things up, or if you need to change the shape of this in any other way. I think I'm really okay with how it's placed right now. Now, also, there is a bar that sits inside the door. It's actually part of a pneumatic system that helps the door go up so that you don't have to lift the whole thing by yourself and, give it a way to stay up there so it doesn't come slamming down and, chop you in half or something charming like that. All we really need to do is basically fake that. We don't really need to create it, mostly because it'd be really hard to wedge a camera up inside here to see what it's connecting to. We just need something that shows a rod up in here so that the audience can see that. So what we're going to do is start off with a cylinder, and I'll snap it over here like so, and let's bring its radius way down. So 0.01 might be a little too small. Let's try 0.02. That's not bad. I think we can go with that. And we'll bring the height down. Okay. And what I'm going to do is duplicate this, rotate this downward, and let's take it in Z and rotate it 90 degrees, like so. We'll pull this down here underneath our original rod, and let's pull in on the height. So make this pretty thin. As you can see, this just kind of connects down here in sort of a ball joint. So we're gonna kind of make something up that'll just stick in here and look okay. So let's increase our radius just a little bit, not too much. Take subdivision caps. I'll set those down to 0. I'll pull the height in just a little bit further, and let's grab faces on either end of this object and have a little bit of fun here. We can maybe extrude in a little bit and then pull out a little bit, extrude back up. And I'll just make a few extrusions to round this off. Oh, something kind of like so. Keep it simple. I'll grab the faces on the underside of this piece. Now, also, let me go ahead and set subdivision caps to 0 here. Grab this face, and we'll extrude. And I'll make a little gap for a crevice. And then we'll kind of expand this out a little bit. Extrude down, and just make the two look connected. I'll grab this ring of faces that I made for the gap. And we'll extrude those in, like so. So as you can see, pretty simple. Go ahead and delete history on these two objects when you're done. I'm going to take the main rod and I'll parent it to this little tiny cylinder. Take this cylinder and position it right here in the opening that we've made for it. I'll take the vertices here at the end of the rod and let's just pull these up so that they kind of run into the door like so. They can even stick out a little bit, it won't really matter because of the way we have to rotate it. And let's go to object mode, press the up arrow key to grab our little base cylinder, and let's call this door piston. We'll rotate this forward with something kind of similar to what we have here. And there we go. Now, we need to set up a system by which when the door opens, this kind of rotates up, and as it closes, it rotates back down. Easiest way to do that, of course, is going to be a set-driven key. So I'll go to Animate, Set-driven key, Set, grab my options box. Now, what's the driver in this case? Naturally, the door master. So we'll load this as the driver, and we'll be using Rotate X. The driven object will be our door piston. So we'll load that as the driven, and this time we'll be using, double check it everybody, in my case it's rotate Y, and I'll go ahead and key everything just like this. Now I'll grab door master, and we'll set rotate X down to 0 to close the door, and all you really need to do is grab door piston, and rotate this guy so he just kind of lines right up inside the door. And if you take a look, he actually goes inside the open area in the middle of the door, which is perfect for what we're doing. And that's it. Key this again, grab door master, and as you rotate up, work with me now. There you go, the piston just kind of works right along with it. No problem. So really with that, I mean that's the whole kit and caboodle. We're now ready to send this over to the other side. So all we're going to do is select door master, shift select our door piston. We'll group these, duplicate the group, set scale X to -1, and there you have it. A second door that is already ready to go. So if we grab door master here on this side and rotate down, you'll notice that set driven key still working. Now it's rotating in an opposite direction. That's fine for right now because we'll be connecting all of this up to a main locator and once we wrap everything up. And that's really about everything I wanted to do with this video. There are a couple of little things that I noticed earlier that I was just going to go ahead and fix up because we are nearing the end of this. One of them was here on the steering column. I wasn't really going to worry about this, but it was bugging me a little bit that the blinker and windshield washer guy was just kind of plugged into the side here. So we're going to fix that. I'm just going to grab this face and let's extrude it. And I'll scale in the extrusion a little bit and slide it back. Adjust vertices just a little bit. And probably be better if I curve snap just to be safe here. So if you don't mind, and it wants to curve snap to something way off in the distance, which I don't really want it to do. So I'll just pick a different camera angle. And tug this in just a little bit. Like so. grab this face, and we'll extrude. Check this out over here on smooth. Push this in a little bit, extrude again, and sink all the way in. And I'll extrude one more time at the bottom. And that'll pretty much do it, but we may want to take just a second and... Well, let's make sure I didn't select anything over here on the other side. I didn't mean to, so... Can pull that forward just a little bit, like so. Grab the face here at the blinker, pull that inside. Interesting how it lines those up, isn't it? Dent that just a little. There we are. Now let's do the same thing over here on the other side. So once again, extrusion, scale in. I'll just, again, make minor adjustments. Extrude. Pull it a little bit further. And again. And there's the hole. Needs a little bit of adjustment because it looks like it got sunk in a little bit. Again, make sure you didn't select through. Pull that forward. I'll just grab the faces here on this object. And we'll pull those through. And there we go. The only other thing I wanted to clean up, and it has nothing to do with anything that we've done in a long time, it's just been kind of slowly wearing on me, is I want to smooth this out. Make just a few couple of tweaks to it. So if I just hit Control tilde on this, this is what we end up with. So it looks like that. Not bad, but it needs some of that definition back in it. So let's grab edges here, 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 all across here. And let's grab here as well. It'd probably be a good idea just to keep the shape from getting funny to grab these edges. We'll bevel these. Make sure the offset stays small. And there we go. That's all I really wanted to do. Just kind of straighten that back up into something a little more functional. And really, I think with that, that's everything that I wanted to get done. So that is going to wrap things up for this video. Thanks a lot.